south and west, people calling for the best. Granger, we want you as president.
Welcome to the Public Interest. I'm Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for joining us again this week. As you know, currently most of Guyana is talking about the Cummings Berg Accord and, of course, inclusionary democracy. This comes as a partnership for national unity and the Alliance for Change on Saturday, the 14th of February 2015, signed the Cummings Berg Accord. And of course, with me is the leader of the People's National Congress Reform and leader of the opposition. He's still the leader of the opposition because our parliament has not yet been dissolved. And he's here to talk about the signing of that accord. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Malika.
All right, great to have you. The buzz is about this accord that was signed on the 14th of February 2015, sir. First off, why was it so necessary to have this signing and this partnership?
The signing itself was a landmark achievement in Guyanese political history. It was necessary because for the last 22 years, we've had the People's Progressive Party civic administration, which refused to accept the idea, the notion of inclusionary democracy, and as a result, the 10th Parliament has come to an abrupt halt. That is, people who went to vote in 2011 expected a 5-year Parliament, but after 3 years, President Ramsey started to put measures in place to bring it to an end. What it means is that the Cummings Berg Accord is opening the gateway to inclusionary democracy, to consensual politics, and the PPP is still practicing the backward type of winner-takes-all politics. So that is the significance. That's why it is necessary. If Guyana is to move forward, we need a government of all the people. We need a government that is committed to national unity. Right now, we have a government that is actually destroying national unity. So the Cummings Berg Accord, I would say, is a game changer in that it would open the doorway for inclusionary democracy.
Sir, do you expect the change from this accord to be lasting? Because of course everybody is talking and the excitement is building because we're heading towards 2015 general and regional elections. But do you expect the change to be lasting even after those elections are held?
Well, a Partnership for National Unity actually embraced government of national unity since 2011, 3.5 years ago. And what we saw on the 14th of February was a fulfillment of our commitment to the people. We have a covenant with the people. We made a pledge to the people. We have an agreement with the people to bring about inclusionary democracy. I believe that in the future, this is the way that governments will be organized. We don't want to shut out any section of the Guyanese population, whether it's a hinterland or coastland, whether it's an ethnic group, whether it's a social group. This is the start of real inclusionary democracy in Guyana. Yes, it's meant to be long-lasting, and as far as the APNU is concerned, it will be long-lasting. This is what keeps.
Is there a likelihood that the outcome may not necessarily favor the two partnerships, the two parties that would have signed the accord, meaning APNU and AFC?
That's a loaded question, Malika. All I can say is that we have on Valentine's Day, we've given the people what they want. An agreement which will bring about inclusionary democracy. It's for them to go to the polls, it's them to go to the general and regional elections and vote for the new coalition between APNU and AFC. We are the ones who promised inclusionary democracy. We're the ones who promised local government elections. We're the ones who promised parliamentary democracy, not the PPP. The PPP is the one that's been destroying democracy over the last 22 years. So I would say that the people of Guyana support this move. I've been getting calls from every region. Region 9, I think, was the first to call me on Sunday morning. People are happy with the prospect of inclusionary democracy, and I would say yes, it's a good thing.
Do you expect any, you did say that people are happy and people are on board and they're positive about this, but do you expect any difficulty at all in selling this accord, this partnership between now and the 11th of May 2015?
It's a question of the accord or the coalition already being accepted by the people. people are accustomed to what APNU has been saying since 2011, that is, we are committed to a government of national unity. We are not going to exclude any major political party from our government. And people expect this to come into being, and it is now come into being. So I think that this is what they want, and this is what they'll get. A government that is truly representative of the people of this country.
Just on a little lighter side for persons who may have gotten lost in the midst, why is it called, why was the signing the agreement called the Cummings Berg Accord?
Well, there's no secret that it is an accord, it is an agreement, a covenant between two major parties, a Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance of Change, so it's an accord. And it was signed in a part of Georgetown known as Cummings Berg. And that's the only reason. There's no secret to it. It was signed in Cummings Berg. And so in international relations, you know, you hear about the Paris Agreement or Vienna Agreement. It is normally given, an agreement is normally given the name of the city or the place where it is signed. And it was signed in Cummings Berg.
In the 2011 general and regional elections, David Granger and of course a Partnership for National Unity would have campaigned heavily with focus on the education sector and the security sector. Now with your partnership, the coalition with the Alliance for Change, are your policies, especially where these two sectors are concerned, are those policies similar?
They are similar, and the intention is that APNU and AFC will, over the coming weeks, harmonize their program, harmonize their manifesto, so that the people of Guyana see one manifesto coming out of the coalition. What I would say is that APNU and AFC have been working together, have been collaborating in the National Assembly for the past 3 years, since January 2012. So there is a great similarity between the two parties, between the programs of the two parties. And yes, for education, there's no difference between us. We put a lot more emphasis on education, but it is not that the AFC is not interested. Similarly, the APNU has a strong interest in security, largely because of my own involvement in the security sector, having been on the Disciplined Forces Commission, having been in the Border National Security Commission, having been National Security Advisor, been the National Drug Law Commission. So I do have a personal interest in ensuring that security stays on the front burner, so to speak. But also in my interaction with businessmen, with citizens around the country, they have shown interest in having a strong government, or a government that is strong in security. And what people see now when they look at the PPP, they see a lot of horrific fatal road accidents. They see execution murders. They see banditry in the hinterland. They see piracy. They see domestic violence. They see suicides. And people are fed up with that. So they are turning to the party, or the coalition in this case, which can deliver security. And that party is APNU, and the coalition will ensure that security remains on the front burner.
You've talked a lot about, and you've also visited a lot, the hinterland communities. After well, everyone is now getting comfortable with the APNU coalition. Do you plan to revisit the hinterland communities and in a sense sensitize the people, because this is new to them, and we all know the hinterland communities are very far away. How do you plan to penetrate those communities with this new partnership?
There has been no change in APNU's plans. APNU still retains its identity inside of the coalition, and my outreach program will continue, and I need to go to the hinterland because it is a zone of neglect by the PPP, and I will continue to take my message there. So people understand. In fact, one of the earliest calls I got was from the Rupununi. After the agreement was signed, you know, the person who called said they can now sleep in peace. So my program will continue, and we intend to cover the entire country.
Do you feel, because after the signing of this accord, there was much talk about which party and who had to make this sacrifice and putting country first instead of self. do you feel as though the People's National Congress reform, of course, which is the major partner in a partnership for national unity, or the partnership itself, do you feel that those two groups would have lost anything at all?
What I would say is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, that APNU plus AFC will be worth more than 33 seats. What I would say is that our policies are what counts. A lot of people have been putting emphasis on the bureaucratic element, about the division of cabinet positions, and those things are important, but they're not the most important. The most important thing for Guyanese is that for the first time in our political history, we have a multi-party coalition which is committed not just to going into government and sharing office, but committed to bringing about national unity. And that's what we're working for. We're working for a program. We're not working for the sharing of slices of cake.
Okay. Someone once said that I think it's no one throws stones or pelts bricks at a fruitless tree. How do you plan to deal with the stones or the bricks that are going to come from the current ruling party, the People's Progressive Party?
Well, it has started already, and unfortunately it is a clear indication that the PPP is taking a racial line. I may even say racist line, and that's quite unfortunate. I hope that the recently signed media code would put some restraint on the sort of propaganda that has been coming out of the PPP. It is quite obvious that some of the supporters, a significant portion of supporters of the Alliance for Change are Indian descent, and Mr. Nagamutu himself is of East Indian descent. So that too has become a source of some propaganda by the PPP. But as far as I'm concerned, what we need to do is continue to focus on the program rather than personality. What we need to do is focus on what we're going to do for the Guyanese people rather than the ethnic or the other elements of the partnership which the PPP is already starting to exploit. I'm not worried about the PPP propaganda. The important thing is that the people of this country must see beyond race and see that every Guyanese child is going to have a place in this country. Education will be developed, jobs will be more readily available, and people will have a good life.
As we prepare to wrap up, sir, are our people, are they fed up enough to ignore the stones that are going to come from the PPP and embrace this Cummings Berg Accord? Well,
we all expect the PPP to throw stones, but the saying is also that those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. What is certain is that APNU and AFC, for the first time in Guyanese political history, have actually brought about a pre-election accord. And we expect resistance from the PPP because the PPP is going to be the losers. For the people, I would say have faith. They've never seen this type of coalition before. But we've emphasized that the individual parties in our partnership, APNU, have never lost their identity equally. The AFC and the APNU will not lose their respective identities under this partnership. AFC will still be AFC. APNU will still be APNU. But we have come together in order to embark on a program that is going to develop this country much faster than it's been developing under the PPP.
Thank you very much, sir. Well said. Of course, this has been another edition of The Public Interest with me, who's the leader of the People's National Congress Reform and leader of the opposition, Brigadier the Honorable David Granger, who is also the presidential candidate for the 2015 general and regional elections where the alliance is concerned. Of course, that alliance meaning a partnership for national unity with the Alliance for Change. I am Malika Ramsey. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, join us again next time.
Granger, take over this government. You can hear it east, north, south, and west. People calling for the